As parents, it is our responsibility to make sure that our children get the best of education. Today, education in India and abroad, the best education is available for anybody for the asking. But it's not cheap, especially when one looks at graduation and post-graduation, either in India or abroad, it can cost a tidy sum. As parents, it's our responsibility to make sure that our children get the best education, whatever be the cost. And as parents, can we plan for some of that much in advance? That's what we're going to explore in today's episode. What are the best investment options available so that we can plan our children's education? First up, I want to talk about the government guaranteed investment, especially for girl children, and it's called Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, SSY as it's called. This is a scheme that was launched by the Government of India exclusively for girl children for their education and marriage expenses. The amount that one can contribute on a yearly basis is a minimum of 250 and a maximum of 1,50,000. Now, it's available for 2 girl children per family. So you can't have unlimited accounts. You can open only 1 account per child and maximum of 2 accounts per family. It can be opened in a post office. It can be opened in any of the banks that allow for this operation, public sector and some of the private sector banks. Now, the advantage of Sukanya Samriddhi is that whatever amount you contribute grows at the government rate. The current rate of that scheme offers is 8%. The maturity happens at the age of 21 years. So typically it helps ideally to build a reasonably large corpus of money for the girl child's education. Being government guaranteed, you know it can't be safer than that. So safety is assured, a reasonably good rate of return, and maturity as a bullet payment at the end of 21 years. It's a great scheme. But that's not all. It also gives you tax benefits. So if a person contributes up to 1,50,000, you get a deduction under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act. So it also helps you save tax. Even more important is that you don't need to do it once a year. You can do it in 12 monthly installments as well. So a variety of options designed to provide an ease of operation for somebody in terms of creating a reasonably large corpus. There are, of course, benefits that are available in terms of if somebody wants an earlier withdrawal after the 18th year of the child, you can always withdraw the amount. And in terms of the longevity, the contributions have to start before the age of 10 of the child, which means that you cannot start the scheme if the girl child is 12 years of age. It has to be age 9 or 10, the earliest, which means it has at least a 10-year period to create a reasonable corpus of sorts. So this is a great scheme. If it's a girl child, I think it's an ideal scheme for parents to start contributing into this scheme. The earlier, the better. It allows you to create a reasonably large corpus. The next option that we're going to explore is insurance options. There are a variety of insurance products that are tagged to children's education. Now, insurance is always a sell product, so they've designed products that can emotionally tug at your heart. So many of these insurance companies have these children-oriented investment plans. They can be traditional plans, they can be unit-linked plans. What's the difference? Traditional plans offer you a rate of return that is more or less on par with about 5 to 6% per annum. It's designed so that you don't have to take in the market fluctuations. It's kind of more or less guaranteed at that rate. The amount comes to you free of tax at the end of that particular period. But the rate of return is only 5 or 6, not much. And it's not guaranteed. Based on performance of what we have seen in the past, we believe it can be in the region of 5 or 6%. If you take the unit-linked insurance plans, which offer similar kind of benefits, these are products which can give you slightly higher because the investment goes into market-facing investments, which means they are equity-based units, and therefore some of these can fluctuate with the market. So to that extent, it's not the safest of things, but given the time, I think it's also a good product for one can look at. In the unit-linked insurance plan, our view is you should look at anywhere between 8 to 10% of return overall because it is market-facing. Now, why must one look at ULIPs at all or insurance-based plans? One of the most important factor of why one must look at an insurance-oriented savings for child is that it cuts the risk from the word go. What do I mean by that? Let's say I am starting an investment in an insurance-based scheme, and as a proposer, as the father of the child, I pay my first installment. And beyond that, for some reason, there is a bad happening, and because of which the father of the child is not alive to make further contributions, the policy will continue thereof. And that's the advantage of life insurance. It builds in that risk of the contributor not being in place and still the policy continuing to provide the benefit. So all it takes is for you to start the plan, and once you start the plan is designed to give you the returns at the end of the day. If you're alive, you will pay. If you're not alive, the policy will take care of itself and the product will come at the end. So to that extent, if you want to cover the risk of the father or the mother or the proposer not being there, then it's a great product to look at. There is something called a public provident fund. Now you can also open a public provident fund in the name of a minor child. Like we know, the public provident fund is a 15-year scheme. So ideally, if you stay invested for a 15-year scheme, you can then roll it over for 5 years thereafter. In a public provident fund kind of an investment option, you will find that you have to contribute a minimum of 1,000 rupees every year, and you can go up to a maximum of 1,50,000. Now, if you did contribute that every year, that can also create a reasonably large corpus for you at the end of the period. Now, is there a specific advantage of PPF vis-a-vis Sukanya Samriddhi, which is kind of almost the same? Yes. Sukanya Samriddhi is only for girl children, whereas PPF, you can do it for anybody. So if you have a girl child, a boy child, Sukanya Samriddhi, you can do it for the girl, and PPF, you can do it for the boy. So very similar kind of a return products you will get by doing PPF investment as well. And it's government guaranteed, it will give you the tax benefits and all of it, pretty similar. So the Sukanya Samriddhi equivalent for boys is PPF, if that's what you want to look at. However, there is one distinct disadvantage in PPF is that the interest rates over the last 10 years have been coming down systematically. So we aren't sure that the assured returns will continue to be high 5 years down, 10 years down, 15 years down. That is subject to market fluctuations or what the government decides to give you. So to that extent, there's a small negative, but other than that, it's again a great product for somebody who wants the safety of the investment. So that's the PPF as an option. Last, one can also look at mutual funds and SIP in particular. Now here again, there are two different options. There are mutual fund schemes that are children-based, specifically for child's education or child's future. These are investments which would qualify as what we call hybrids, where there's a certain amount of money that gets exposed to equity, certain amount exposed to debt investments. So to that extent, it's not all risk. A combination of risk and safety is built into the product. These are again very, very good products. Within these, you have one thing called a study plan and one thing you call a growth plan. The study plan has more debt, less equity. The growth plan will have more equity, less debt. Depending on what suits your temperament, you can choose the option. Again, these plans are meant for somebody to contribute on a month-on-month basis. So you can do a sip into some of these products and eventually get a reasonably large corpus for your child. Unlike the other options, these are completely flexible. You can start, you can stop, you can vary the amounts, and you can do a lot of different stuff. Only that the maturity is designed to come at a longish point in time, at the end of 20 years or 21 years. The amount will come in the name of the minor child. So you will need to have a bank account from which this money can come. And you also need to have the account in the name of the minor for the money to go into the investment. So that's the necessity of this investment product. Now, in this itself, there are non-child oriented investment options which are pure equity based. If you're somebody who loves risk and who believes that over a 15-year, 10-year, 20-year periods, equity markets will generate great returns, and that conviction is very high for you, you can also choose to go to large cap, mid cap, or small cap, pure play equity funds in the name of a minor child. Now, these are definitely more riskier than the child-oriented plans, but they will also tend to return a much higher return at the end of the day. So these are also options one can explore in the form of a systematic investment plan. Now, we have explored 4 different varieties: Sukanya Samriddhi, PPF, unit-linked insurance plans, and SIPs as an option. Now, all these are different varieties of investing for the same cause of a child. There is no right or wrong. It depends on what risk you are willing to undergo and what is your temperament to handle that risk. Based on that, the systematic investment plan and pure equity funds will obviously deliver the highest returns. PPF or Sukanya Samriddhi may give you a reasonable return, and the pure play non-ULIP based insurance product will deliver the lowest return. This is how the equation will flow. All of them are good as long as you're aware that where they fit into your scheme of things. So let's look at some examples of Sukanya Samriddhi schemes, actual contributions. Assuming you contributed 2,500 rupees on a month-on-month basis, yearly amounting to 30,000 rupees, and if the period for which you contributed was for 14 years, then you would realize a corpus of 7.2 lakhs at the end at an 8% rate of inflation. Now, if you were to increase from 2,500 to say 12,500, then your yearly contribution you will max out at 1,50,000, which is a maximum limit allowed. Then, at the end of 14 years of contribution, you would have 36.32 lakhs, a sizable sum for any educational need or marriage need that your daughter will need. So from that perspective, the contribution that you make on a month-on-month is entirely the factor of what kind of a corpus you're looking to create for your child at the age of 21 of your child. In terms of unit-linked plans, again, the factor one can look at is a yearly contribution anywhere between 30,000 to 1,50,000 over a 14-year period to create a corpus of 7 lakhs to 36 lakhs. Assumption being that the unit-linked insurance plan delivers a return of 8% per annum right through. Now, this is not guaranteed, like I mentioned. It can vary according to external market fluctuations, but this is just a ballpark based on certain computations that we have seen in the past. If you were to look at systematic investment plans as an option, and if you are willing to contribute very small sum of 2,500 rupees every month, then over a 14-year period, you would have invested 4,20,000 rupees at the rate of 12% per annum, which is an assumption. But many cases when you have stayed invested for 14 years, the rate of return that you've got from diversified equity mutual funds have been higher than 12% in the past. So you're likely to generate a corpus of 9.71 lakhs. Similarly, if you are able to do a monthly investment of 10,000 rupees every month on an SIP, yearly 1,20,000, and if you did that continuously for 14 years, then you can create a corpus of about 38.87 lakhs. Almost close to 40 lakhs is a very good corpus that one can create for one's child's future. So start yesterday, because from a children investment perspective, the earlier you start, the lesser amount you will need to build a corpus. So decide on the corpus you need and work backwards to find out what is the kind of investment that you need to be making, and it will make a great deal of difference to your child's future. wishing your child the very best in his future education.